Okay, imagine this. Your navigation app, the one you use every day, suddenly just goes dark. Not a glitch, not bad signal, but because a foreign military decided to, well, flip a switch somewhere.
Yeah, it sounds like science fiction, but it's a very real thing, a geopolitical reality, actually.
Mhm.
And it's driving this massive tech shift we're seeing.
Welcome, everyone. Today we're looking into something huge, the global race for satellite navigation independence, away from GPS.
Exactly. It's this critical vulnerability most people just don't think about. GPS feels free, universal, but it's controlled by the U.S. military. That gives them immense strategic power. We saw it happen recently.
Oh, right, the 12-day conflict you mentioned.
Yeah, where a major player just switched off U.S. GPS across their entire country, deliberately.
Wow. So the US GPS, this sort of global standard, suddenly becomes a weakness, a liability even. What's pushing countries to de-risk so fast? And is this alternative, China's Beidou system, really catching on that quickly?
Well, the strategic angle became crystal clear when Iran, during that conflict with Israel, disabled U.S. GPS nationwide. And they switched straight over to China's Beidou. That wasn't just technical fiddling. It was a huge geopolitical statement, a real signal.
Declaration of intent, like you said. That Iran example is pretty stark, but, the seeds for this were sown much earlier, weren't they? You have to go back to 1993, I think, to really get China's motivation here. The incident with the Chinese container ship, the Yinha.
Oh, absolutely. That was pivotal. Stranded in the Indian Ocean 24 days. Why? Because the U.S. military jammed its GPS, all based on unproven claims about chemical weapons. For Beijing, that was a massive wake-up call, a lesson learned the hard way.
Right. So that directly led to them thinking, we need our own system.
Precisely. It spurred China to develop Beidou, named after the Big Dipper, by the way, to guarantee their own digital sovereignty, to protect their interests without relying on anyone else. The message was clear. Never again vulnerable like that.
Okay, so the why is clear geopolitics, national security. But let's talk tech. Did China just copy GPS, or is Beidou different? Maybe better.
That's what's really fascinating. They didn't just build an alternative, they really pushed the envelope. Beidou was completed in 2020. It operates with over 50 satellites. Compare that to GPS's 31.
50 versus 31, that sounds like a lot more coverage.
It is. More satellites mean a denser network, a more modern one. It means more reliable signals, faster fixes, especially in tricky spots like cities or mountains where GPS can struggle.
Yeah.
And GPS, it's still fundamentally running on like Cold War era technology. Major upgrades aren't even expected until the mid-2030s.
Mid-2030s, that's a long way off. And the accuracy difference you mentioned, 1 to 2 meters for Beidou civilians versus 3 to 5 for GPS.
Yeah, and that improved precision is transformative. Think about farming in Africa needing precise planting, or smart ports in Latin America managing container traffic efficiently. But Beidou has another trick up its sleeve: short message communication. Basically, texting via satellite.
Texting, is that a big deal?
Well, it works in remote areas with no cell signal. During wartime, natural disasters. It means a country using Beidou can keep critical communication lines open independently. GPS just doesn't offer anything like that. It's a unique strategic advantage.
Okay, so better tech, strategic independence.
Yeah.
What's the global reaction? Are we actually seeing countries, ditching GPS for Beidou?
We really are. Countries, even big corporations, are making the switch. Look at Spain. They recently gave Huawei contracts to manage intelligence agency wiretaps. That signals a level of trust in Chinese systems over U.S. ones, which is remarkable.
Wow, Spain. That's not who you'd immediately expect.
And it's not just governments in certain regions. Even Canada's Globe and Mail ran a piece suggesting closer ties with China might be needed to reduce dependence on the U.S. It's a global conversation.
It really sounds like a declaration of independence, technologically speaking. A bit like China's Great Firewall created its own digital space. Beidou seems to be doing something similar for navigation, especially maybe for the global south, offering partnerships the West hasn't focused on.
I think that's a fair assessment. It's filling gaps, providing tangible benefits where maybe U.S. systems were weaker or less prioritized, and it reflects a wider shift. You see recent studies showing China having a better public image than the U.S. in, like, 79% of nations surveyed.
79%, that's significant. It suggests a real change in global perception and trust.
Technology like Beidou becomes a very visible symbol of that shifting trust, of China offering concrete alternatives.
So is the takeaway here that the U.S. is losing its tech crown?
Hmm.
Or is it more nuanced, like nations just wanting more options, avoiding being locked into one system?
It's probably a bit of both, honestly. The U.S. isn't the only game in town anymore for cutting-edge tech. And yes, nations absolutely want to diversify to avoid those single points of failure like the Yinhe incident showed. They're hedging their bets, looking for new partners.
Right. So, for everyone listening, what does this all boil down to? Next time you glance at your phone for directions, just maybe consider the invisible power structures humming away behind that blue dot. Choosing a satellite system isn't just about convenience anymore.
Not at all. Yeah, it's deeply tied to national sovereignty, strategic choices, and who you trust in this incredibly interconnected but also competitive world.
It really makes you think, how will nations square that circle? The need for the best technology versus the deep desire for genuine independence.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something to definitely keep an eye on.